that the DeFi market is hot right now means that the engineering market for programmers who can work on DeFis is even tighter than ever before. Previously, you might see project able to secure 2 or 3 developers, however junior they are, at least someone looking over your shoulder. We've seen a lot of projects where there's one developer, like basically be the only person, all the funders and all the project leaders just putting hopes and dreams on one person to be able to launch something within a month. And when those protocols launch and there's $1 million, $10 million locked in those protocols, that's I think the risk model has increased because of the increased frothiness of the market and the depleting of experienced engineering resource, not only within Solidity, but more so that people with experience in building, kind of like scaled up financial systems are not in the job market to build DeFi, even though the risk models are very similar. So not only for hacks, but also for arbitrage opportunity, not thinking through how someone who can have access to loans or even flash loan, which is amplifying the flaws in any type of rounding errors. That's another aspect that I think should be quite concerned as users of DeFis, that because of the job market is influencing what is being produced. Sure, I think we need a Hippocratic oath for blockchain and smart contract developer, which is first do no harm. There's a lot of very aggressive innovation going on here, and security audit seems to be, and someone will edit my draft and make my grammar perfect, versus being careful about how you construct it, as if the language you're describing, whether it's in English or Solidity, can be fixed at the end. And I think this idea of being careful upfront and choosing upstream libraries, for example, Anastasia mentioned Gnosis Safe, which is a consumer-facing multi-signature wallet that you can use to manage simple funds, ETH or DAI. But Gnosis, the organization, is actually creating extension capability with Gnosis Safe, so the application can be built to take advantage of the multi-signature capability. Let's say you need 2 out of 3 people to sign before funds get moved. It can also be 2 out of 3 people can sign before we do the trade, or 2 out of 3 before we unlock the escrow. So I think there's some great primitives in this space where if developers take on that oath and say, hey, first do no harm, let me know what are reliable medicines that I should use as my treatment, and then start from there versus let me open the text editor and code my dream, right? That would actually help a lot. It's an orientation towards safety first versus kind of feature first. I think that would be something that would be hopefully sellable to developer, because they do get a lot from these platforms like Gnosis Safe infrastructure that they don't have to code themselves, but it requires more education and more awareness that these tools are available and they should be reviewed and considered as building blocks. I think when you are operating across different blockchains, both with wallet that you control and wallet that that's hosted custodial, one of the most important thing is a operations guide for the team. So the practices such as the one you mentioned about sending a test transaction, I think that's a good practice. The ability to follow certain steps and making sure that you do a backup in a certain way, or if you were to back up a key, do it in a certain way. It's very hard for everybody who come into the field or part of the team, developers or non-developers, to automatically know the same set of practices, because the practices are changing all the time. So I think there is one function, which is people in the team researching, understanding what the best practices are, and codifying those practices. So when people were doing a trade or doing a contract upgrade, if it's more technical, or doing some plannings for creating new keys or rotating keys, so assuming you're doing a multi-sig wallet, you could rotate the wallet to control that same funds. Those practices need to be written down and need to be executed and tested periodically. And I think that's the best way to do it. So what I'm basically saying, there's no magic bullet, but we can certainly write down what is the best practice and iterate and make that part of the business process to improve not only the understanding of the best practices, but the exercising within internally and the consequences of being able to say, hey, did we just had a close call? How would we change our plan and codify and let that be followed? So I think that's how maybe it may not be the most magical solution, but this is what we've seen as something that has worked, at least for us. This generation of wallet, maybe the previous generation included, reminds me of these hot rod cars where there's a hole in the middle of the hood and then you can see the engine in it, and then you wonder, why do I need to see the engine? Then you realize those car manufacturers, the person who designed the engine owns the company. So they want to show you the amazing moving parts within the engine as part of showing off their creation. Right? But that's not how we want to drive a car. We want a start button, put it in drive, and then step on the gas. In Tesla, you press on the brakes, they close the door for you, right? So I think the idea of usability is about really hiding, not because we don't want to see it, it's because you don't need to see it. You want people to focus on something else, focus on the application, focus on the social aspects of it, because the people you trust to get one of your key shots are your friends, and they're going to help you if you forget your password, right? These are more important than just writing down the keys. So I think there's a new genesis of new wallets, and we're working on one ourselves around how do we reimagine a wallet as the best mobile app you've ever used versus how do we make the best mobile wallet, right? That's subtle semantics, but very different focus of where you're starting from. And I think if we can make an application focusing on what people are doing with blockchain and smart contract, and then kind of thinking like a car designer who's like, I don't want all these gears and levers like the Model T to start the car, and cranking the engine doesn't make any sense. Like, what is the best experience? And then start there. I think the technology pieces are actually in place with all the things that is mentioned about multi-party computation, private key social recovery, multi-sig signature. These are all things that can just be, I got 2 of my friends to like my post. If I get 3, I get 3 out of 5, and then this thing goes, right? It could be as simple as an emoji to show the thumbs up as a multi-sig transaction. Same exact infrastructure what Anastasia talked about underneath it. And that, I think, is why the user experience aspect is something we're focusing on at Cardstack, because I think that's really the genesis or the unlocking of new possibility space of what we can use this thing to get like mass market adoption beyond people who already know crypto. I think what's going to happen with a blockchain, especially smart contract-based decentralized app, is that there's going to be more of a drift. Right now, projects will do the smart contract, sometimes even the blockchain underneath, and the wallet, and the user interface on the web at the same time. And they iterate pretty much on the same cycle because you have to build everything yourself. We're already seeing with like a decentralized exchange like Uniswap, where Uniswap has an official user interface, right? Go to uniswap.org, you can click on that. But there are other products that are using Uniswap as one of the functions within some of the tool, maybe a payment tool or games or something like that. And those has different security concerns. Not less, just different. But I think we're going to start seeing kind of like how the oil and water separate, where the protocols start moving a bit slower, and with people who are focusing on providing a utility that's reliable and secure and paranoid in approach. And then you have a faster moving substrate on top of that is people innovating on user tools and stuff like that, leveraging those protocols. That's not happening right now because everything's still getting built out like vertically, like a little kind of bazaar of like a city being built out. But I do believe the infrastructure will sink underground, like reliable infrastructure like Wallet Connect or Gnosis Safe in the Ethereum space end up being like just like a thing like plug into the wall and it comes. And the security and the risk profile depends on which of the layer, you're above ground, below ground, will change. The same way you don't worry about someone going to your data center because you don't have one, right? You're using Amazon Web Service and they deal with physical security of people getting in and out of the data center buildings, right? I think similar types of segregation of security risk and expertise will happen in this space as the layers separate. I think it's a good thing. I think allow people to focus their efforts and choose their best practices without knowing everything all the time, which is what is necessary right now to thrive and survive in this space.